Ellis Smith was worried. The stock market dropped 69 points. But what troubled Ellis was the bluegill just weren't biting. Ellis buys U.S. savings bonds, so he only worries about important matters, like trying a different lure. For safe, worry-free investing, buy U.S. savings bonds.
News 8 update.
And this is 2020.
From ABC News, around the world and into your home, the stories that touch your life. With Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. This is 2020.
Where's Kitty? Ladies?
Tonight, a love story beyond words.
Give me a big kiss.
They saw their newborn babies as no one could.
My first words were to the doctor, aren't they beautiful?
Beautiful twin girls, touched by a quirk of nature.
They join the chest, the abdomen, the pelvis.
Happy children, thriving on love and acceptance. Exceptional parents, weighing an agonizing decision.
Once physical separation has taken place, the chances of survival are good.
Hugh Downs leads you through their rare and private struggle. Attempting a medical miracle, they gave their children life. Would their painful decision now cause their deaths? A family you'll remember forever, divided by love. Plus, a sign of the times, the house alarm. Do you feel safe when yours is set? She used to.
I was walked around my home with a gun to my temple.
All across the country, people are paying billions of dollars to companies that promise protection.
I think that they're crooks.
2020's Hidden Camera recorded salesmen pitching their products.
I would mount microphones in strategic areas of the house.
And hired a former burglar to see if they worked. Valuable lessons and some tips to make you more secure. Tom Gerald and the truth about home security systems. To catch a thief. Those stories tonight, February 5th, 1993, after this brief message.
Having a real estate license doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to sell real estate. You have to understand people.
I do a lot of interaction with my clients, and I listen to what they have to say.
The biggest pleasure for me to be able to get them into that house, and they thought I was the greatest thing in the world because I could do that.
There isn't anything any school could teach you to make you care about people. That's got to come from the heart.
Century 21, rated best at customer service.
Life is people, and the more you give, the more you get.
Sometimes we come upon a story that's so powerful in its impact and so rare that we're particularly anxious to share it with you. Almost always, it's about ordinary people struggling with extraordinary circumstances, and this story is one of them. When it first aired on British television last year, the response was overwhelming, not only because the subject is so unusual and so delicate, but more because the Irish family involved is truly remarkable. Well, tonight, Hugh brings you a gift, their story.
Imagine the grief of Liam and Mary Holt, who were told that their twin daughters would be born conjoined in one body, a physical condition known commonly as Siamese twins. And then see for yourself the depth of their unconditional love for these little girls. It led them eventually to weigh two very difficult choices, fully aware that whatever they decided, the destinies of their children would be affected forever.
It was like a robot. I just seemed to just go down that corridor in a state of shock. And I just went straight in. I didn't just prepare myself to look. I just went over, and just before I knew what was happening, I was looking straight at my two daughters. And my first words were to the doctor, aren't they beautiful? And he sort of looked at me in surprise, and he said, yes, I suppose they are.
August 24th, 1988, the Holton twins are born in Dublin. Their parents, Liam and Mary, found out only one day before that they would be conjoined twins.
So when I saw them, they're just two little babies.
I was amazed at how normal looking they were, you know, and though frightened, I suppose, at the same time, frightened that I would hurt them by holding them this way or that way.
She had just the same bonding at that moment that any mother would have to her newborn baby.
I was afraid I'd bond too much. That was a worry, because we thought they'd die, and you were afraid to let yourself go too far to getting to know them.
Prior to them being born, that thought did come to us that we probably will not be able to accept them like we would accept other babies, but when we saw them and held them, that just evaporated away. It just wasn't a consideration.
Hey, great fun, isn't it? No, I can't go and push any harder. See, Daddy?
May 1991. The twins, Katie on the right and Eilish on the left, are 2.5 years old. They are playing with their 3 older sisters. Their doctors decided not to separate the twins at birth because the risk of death is higher in the first few months of life. Mortality rate drops considerably as conjoined twins get older, but the risks never entirely disappear.
Right? Now. Now. Let go, Katie. Good girl.
I think the natural response when you see twins like this is to see if they can be like the rest of us, and therefore lead separate existences. But equally, one would have to consider whether separating them just for the sake of conforming to our ideas of normality would in fact help them or kill them.
The Holtons live in a small village outside Dublin where the twins are well known.
You want to hold them? They're cold. Are they cold? Are they freezing? We won't ever have a completely normal life because we will always be open to people gazing at us when we go out in public. But I think acceptance is probably what we want more than anything else. But I mean, I'm amazed that we're actually more or less able to manage that. We do what most families do. Trips to the zoo or trips to the supermarket, and everybody goes.
Hi, Mary. How are you? Hey, girl. Sean. Well. You're not talking today, no? Are you not?
Conjoined twins are extremely rare. They occur once in approximately 100,000 births, when purely by chance, an egg in the womb fails to divide successfully. Few survive. Although Katie and Eilish are conjoined twins, their parents regard them as normal children in a unique situation.
It's a bit warm in here.
Being brought up in that household, these twins are going to have great difficulty believing that there is really anything very much wrong with them. They're so much part of the family, so much part of everyday life. They're accepted in their community. So they are not made to feel very different.
Liam is a sales representative for a pharmaceutical company. He says that neither he nor Mary feels bitter.
The situation was much greater than us. Like, crying over it or being angry over it or being bitter over it wasn't going to change the way the twins were. So then you have to look into another part of yourself and say, well, right, if I have to accept, you know, this cross, how do you carry that cross lightly or with meaning?
You're coming a very roundabout way.
This way, over here. You don't have to come around us.
The twins are physically healthy, although doctors can't predict whether they'll live to a normal age. They attend weekly physical therapy sessions to improve their ability to move.
Very good. Over you come.
Are you good over here to the balloon? Right. Quickly. It will take a while before they can walk, I imagine. They're very top-heavy, and their 2 legs are holding the weight of 2 bodies, which is a difficulty in itself.
Ailish is looking and Kate is hidden.
Despite the fact that they are identical twins and have been exposed to the same influences, the girls have distinct personalities.
Well done.
Catherine likes a bit of fun. She likes to be in the middle of things. Irish is a little bit more reserved and likes to size people up and wouldn't be as free-making with people as Catherine.
Oh.
Yes. Oh. Have we anyone in here to see us, huh? Hello, hello, hello. Where's Katie and Eilish? Oh, look! How are you? Give me a big kiss. Oh, come on. How are you?
From the beginning, the question of separation has overshadowed the twins' lives because despite their relative good health, their physical disabilities are severe. So the Holtons begin to explore the possibility of separation.
Take off these old dirty socks, will you?
Yes. Because they're wet.
And they're wet.
Katie and Eilish are tested to find out as much as possible about their anatomy. The good news, they have separate hearts, lungs, and spinal columns, which means separation is a possibility. But the tests also reveal potential obstacles because the girls share some internal organs. Between them, they have just one bladder, one large intestine, one enlarged liver, and only 2 kidneys. In fact, Katie and Eilish are more severely joined than any conjoined twins who have been successfully separated in the past. This harsh reality leaves Mary and Liam with an agonizing dilemma when it comes to the question of separation.
It's not something that you say, yeah, well, we'll do that anyway. You have to know, would their life be better if we were to go ahead, or would they live? We have to know the risks, which I'm sure are high.
Will we see if there's a fish in the river? Yeah, we'll look in and see if there's a fish. Right.
Summer 1991. The doctors in Dublin are unable to give a definite verdict on whether Katie and Eilish can be separated, so the Holtons' search leads them out of Ireland. They write to 3 hospitals around the world, in London, Toronto, and Philadelphia, which have pioneered operations in this field. Their answers are eagerly awaited.
That's a fish. Yeah. Fishy. There's fishy in there.
Duck.
Oh, duck.
Yes.
Where's the duck? Is that the duck?
Yeah.
And what does the duck say?
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack.
Oh, look at what they're doing. What are they doing? Once upon a time, there were 3 bears.
August 1991, and the 3 hospitals consulted have all replied. The outlook for a successful operation looks promising if further tests prove positive. Should Mary and Liam eventually decide to go ahead with the operation, it will be the most difficult of its kind ever undertaken.
Going ahead with a separation is a very risky business, particularly at the moment. The twins are healthy. The twins are developing both mentally and physically.
But these were very modern bears. They actually went for a cycle in the woods.
If the risks are loaded more against one child than the other, I personally wouldn't even consider it. So there's a lot of ifs and buts before I could raise my hopes too much.
Their house? Goldilocks.
Now look what we have. We have some cake. Look. The cake. It's a lovely cake, isn't it?
Our twins are so dear to us that we don't want to take any risks with their lives.
August 24th, 1991, the twins' 3rd birthday, a celebration that will hold special meaning for the Holton family for the rest of their lives.
Oh, we're going to light the candle.
Is that a minor part?
No. When we start, we get everyone to sing happy birthday song.
Okay.
We'll wait till they blow them out.
Katie and Eilish, enjoying the full love and acceptance of family and friends, are unaware of their parents' turmoil. Yet, because of a random mistake of nature, Mary and Liam are burdened with a torturous choice. In the midst of such joy, it's hard to imagine that the potential for tragedy looms. December 1991. Mary and Liam are now in London. After months of agonizing about surgery for the twins, they've been unable to decide. So they've come to meet with Professor Louis Spitz, head of pediatric surgery at Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Nice to see you again. Come and have a seat.
He's been to Dublin to examine the twins and now feels positive about surgery.
Good trip over?
Thanks very much, yes.
Excellent. Yes, I think at this stage in their lives, it would be impossible to say we'll sacrifice one in favor of the other. We either go for survival of both or neither. And I think we should say that the chances of them both surviving are really quite good. I think the livers are a potential problem. I think what we have got a very strong plus is that the hearts are separate, the lungs are separate, and the vertebral columns are separate right down to the base.
It is a big decision, and that there are major risks in putting our children forward for this surgery. And turn back.
Christmas 1991. The last meeting with Professor Spitz was the turning point for Mary and Liam. Fueled by the hope of a better life for their daughters, they decide to go ahead with the operation.
I had all those, insecurities and doubts about going ahead with separation, but the answers he gave us were really very reassuring, that the risks weren't as great as we had imagined them to be.
Oh, giddy pair.
Oh, yeah.
You giddy pair. Oh, go to sit down. Get up again now yourself.
So with great love but no guarantees, the Holtons face the future with their daughters. Would separation mean a new beginning or a tragic end for these cherished little girls? Hugh has the road to surgery and the dramatic conclusion in a moment.
The DeskJet 500 black and white printer. The DeskJet Portable. The DeskJet 550C printer with color. See what you can do. With DeskJet printers from Hewlett-Packard, it's easy to make it happen.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that offers special delivery right to your door. That's Enterprise.
Here, let me help you.
Enterprise, a special rent-a-car company that gives you special delivery.
Attention thieves, flimsy locks on doors. Fencing back is so high, nobody can see you. Easy access windows, take your time.
It's the obvious but overlooked things that attract burglars to your house. To help make your home burglar-proof, see your Allstate agent. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Speak. Sing. Read.
The one trick he can't do is read a label, so it's your job to find out if fancy dry dog food like Science Diet starts with ground corn. It's the first ingredient. While Purina One brand dog formula starts with chicken. And chicken, with corn, wheat, and other ingredients, provides high-quality nutrition. So give your dog Purina One.
Purina One, second to none.
Maybe we should try piano lessons.
Those smart folks at Magnavox have asked me to tell you about all their high
highly intelligent products in just 15 seconds. You must be joking. Impossible. No way. Don't be ridiculous. Enough. That's it. I quit.
Magnavox. Smart. Very smart.
Tomorrow, unforgettable television moments.
From Dallas, Texas, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. some 38 minutes ago.
A 2-hour special. Great television moments. Tomorrow.
When a simple brush fire turned into an inferno.
What's happening?
We have a fire on 2 fronts. We have to go right now.
Average neighbors turned into heroes.
Daddy, please, come with us! I'll be right behind you, now go on!
Jill Clayburgh, Michael Gross, LeVar Burton, Firestorm, Sunday.
Well, as you saw, for many difficult months, the Holtons struggled with a very painful choice, arriving, finally, at a decision based on love, but with uncertain consequences for their 2 young daughters, who were Siamese twins, more correctly known now as conjoined twins. They are aware of the tremendous risks involved in the unprecedented operation that will separate the twins, but they have encouraging words from the doctors and visions of a better life for the little girls. So, heartened by these things, they take the twins to London. It is a journey of hope.
Ready? Okay. There's the paint. Ready? There.
January 1992. The twins, Katie on the right and Eilish on the left, arrive at Great Ormond Street Hospital in London. They'll have to endure 3 months of preparation for the surgery, but their parents have been reminded that at any stage before the operation, they can change their minds and decide not to go ahead.
That's it. What other colours are there? Do you want to do Sarah's hand? Ooh. Ooh.
The surgery the doctors would perform on Katie and Eilish is an enormous undertaking involving meticulous preparation. There are 2 particularly risky aspects of this procedure. The first has to do with those internal organs the twins share. Doctors have to make decisions about whether these organs can be split and reconstructed, or whether certain organs should go to Katie and others to Eilish. The second area of difficulty involves the skin cover where the twins are joined.
This may not look very large, but the area is in fact quite vast between the shoulder and the base of the pelvis. And if you imagine that if you just separate those 2 individuals and leave a raw area, that is an enormous area over which skin has to grow or be placed. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello, girls. How are you today? All right?
A few weeks later, and the twins have now had a small operation to insert 4 tissue expanders, which will be pumped up at regular intervals using syringes full of water. This will create extra skin that will be used to cover the wound after separation.
Now, let's just see how these are getting on here. Yeah. So, what we've got here is we've got our first tissue expander in here, and this is where we've been injecting this, isn't it? Yeah. And then we've got 2 in their tummies, one on this side and one on this side, and again we've been injecting those there and there.
At times it occurs to you that you're putting them through an awful lot of trauma or whatever. I've never changed my mind. I've never once questioned why I'm here. You feeling tired? Are you, Fred?
March 1992, just 1 week before the surgery. The tissue expansion is almost complete, but the twins are having a rough time. They are losing weight and have to be tube-fed. The swelling you see on their shoulder is part of the tissue expansion.
Here.
Any pain today? No. Oh, that's great.
I don't know where the strength is coming from, but we seem to be surviving day by day. We don't look too far ahead. We just seem to just take each day as it comes, and it seems to be the best attitude to cope with it. Which is Katie?
Sit in there.
Katie. And that's Eilish.
And look, they get tube feeding.
Oh, yeah, the tube.
The Holtons are trying to prepare Katie and Eilish psychologically for the enormous change which they are about to undergo.
I don't want to.
You don't want to?
Oh, you do.
Oh, you let me do it? No. We've been using some Cabbage Patch dolls, which we've adapted to look like Katie and Eilish, and we've called them Katie and Eilish. And we go through a little routine, usually every day, and we take them apart and we can play with each one individual, and we reassure them that we're going to be here through all of this terrible trauma.
This one is Eilish.
And that's Katie.
And this is Katie.
Yes.
Would you like to hold one of the twins,
Would you
lad?
like to hold Katie?
Yeah. Would you
There's
like
Katie.
to hold Eilish?
The twin sisters have come to London to help.
Cuddle.
Give them a special cuddle now.
You don't have to give them a cuddle when they're stuck together anymore. Look.
Yeah. Very warm.
You're sweating in here.
Oh.
You poor baby. In here.
Classically speaking, they would be called thoraco-omphalosciopagus bifus conjoined twins, which means they're joined at the chest, the abdomen, the pelvis, and they have 2 lower limbs.
It's now down to the final week before the operation. The large team of surgeons, anesthetists, and nurses has its first meeting, detailing the complex surgery they'll perform on the twins.
There's this question about fusion or overlap of the left lobes of the liver, and I suspect that will be a combination of both.
I think the actual operative procedure is the major risk element to separation. After separation, there may be problems with skin cover and superficial infection, but once physical separation has taken place, the chances of survival are good.
March 31st, 1992, the day before the surgery. Mary and Liam quietly comfort their daughters, who have so bravely endured endless tests and procedures in preparation for the surgery. While outwardly calm, Mary and Liam struggle to maintain their composure.
I'm a bit numb at the moment, really. It's the impact of it hit me about 2 days ago, and then it went from me. It's coming back again now. Sometimes when I just look at the twins, it just hits me real bad.
I'm just lying down. Do you want me to sit up?
Tell her to sit up.
Oh, good girl.
Stand up, Ella. Okay. Now, that better.
Here comes Danielle. You have to smile for Danielle, won't you?
That's your bunny.
The surgery lasted 16 hours, and the separation seemed successful. But 4 days later, Katie died of heart failure. The autopsy revealed her heart was too weak to keep her alive. Professor Spitz told us he believes Eilish's stronger heart may have been what kept Katie going. Now, Eilish has to face her new life without her twin sister. At first, she was quiet and withdrawn.
Obviously, the loss of Katie must have accounted for, you know, how depressed she was. I mean, when she would waken up from a sleep, she would look down at the side Katie was, and she would sort of give a kind of a jerking reaction, and then she might sometimes start to cry and be distressed. We felt that she must have been going through a very traumatic grieving process. It was such a pity, really, to lose Katie. But on the other hand, we have the comfort of knowing that had we not separated Katie and Eilish, that we could have lost both Katie and Eilish due to Katie's heart being so weak. She's lovely and clean and fresh now. Sorry? It's amazing. Some of Katie still lives in Eilish, you know. I mean, Eilish's personality was, you know, probably a more serious personality. And now she has acquired a lot of the giggling and playfulness that would have been Katie, which is lovely to see. So when we look at Eilish today, we see some of Katie there in spirit.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy? What's that, Pluto?
No, we've no regrets at all. We'll always miss Katie in a sense. You know, she's been such a part of our life. At the same time, you have to put your emotions on hold because you're so concerned with Eilish, and you have to get Eilish well and get her home. I've been home once since Katie's funeral, and I found it very upsetting. I found it extremely hard to settle in here afterwards. And I really can't wait till I get home with Eilish. You know, I feel that then I can go on from then. At the moment, I'm on hold. Any secrets today? No secrets? If we all did this, you share your secrets.
She's a beautiful baby.
You're a pretty child.
I think we should explain that both of the little girls had an arm in the back that I don't think people saw that much.
That's right.
So that Eilish does have two arms
Two
now.
arms, and under therapy, she'll gain some use of that other arm.
And this was a year ago. What's the condition now?
Well, now, I talked to Dr. Spitz a couple of days ago, and he said she's fine. Eilish is doing very well. The expanded skin has healed over without infection. And down the line, she'll receive a prosthetic lower limb, so she'll have two legs. Has a very good chance for
Because there was only one child, only had one leg each. You know, the most beautiful part of the story, not just these parents who are remarkable, but the fact that these babies were accepted by the other children and by the whole community. If ever there was a lesson in understanding and tolerance and love.
Also, it should be pointed out that neither the parents nor the operating team would have undertaken this at all if it had meant merely sacrificing one for the other. There was a good chance that both could live, but Katie's heart was weak from the start, and had it failed, there's a good chance it could have pulled both of them down. So they feel they made the right decision.
And finally, I think we should point out that the family allowed this because they felt that it was good for medical science. But now that the baby is 4 years old, this is why we have no more pictures.
They want no more publicity, and that's quite understandable. But it's a really touching story, I think, and the little girl has a chance for a good life.
Well, next, a total change of subject. What they'll never tell you about your home security system. Our hidden cameras will tell you. When you set that alarm, are you really safer, or do you just think you are? Tom Jowers reports right after this.
There was a great chaos and confusion. The established order had indeed been challenged. That challenge was answered the day one company, with great courage, leapt a technological barrier and landed far ahead of the pack. With the first digital fiber optic network nationwide and the most modern signaling equipment. So if you were to build the perfect 800 service, you'd do exactly what AT&T has done. Follow Sprint.
Presenting some more of the 2,000 body parts you can clean with Lever 2000. The deodorant soap that's better for your skin. Studly parts like your delts and pecs, and smoochable parts like the nape of your neck, the small of your back, the backs of your thighs, elbows, knees, even parts that surprise. And all because Lever 2000 has special skincare ingredients, so it's as good for touchy-feely parts as it is for rough and tumble parts. Lever 2000, the deodorant soap that's better for your skin and all your 2,000 parts.
At Ford Motor Company, we're already building vehicles that meet California's strict emission standards for the late 90s. We're the first U.S. manufacturer to build a car with CFC-free air conditioning. And we'll soon have a fleet of electric vehicles on the road. For us, designing quality cars and trucks means keeping an eye on the big picture.
At Ford, we understand that the quality of the environment is one of our greatest responsibilities.
Ford Motor Company, quality is job one. It's working.
You could be living with a false sense of security. Millions of people are buying house alarm systems. Are they worth the money? A hidden camera investigation. There's something you should know about your home security system. To catch a thief when 2020 continues.
Sunday, what the family leave bill will mean to your family.
Also surviving in our brave new digital world and the right stuff to get you into shape.
On Good Morning America Sunday.
Monday.
You promised you'd keep us.
Abandoned by his parents.
My husband beat my boy Gregory.
Ignored by the system.
Would you like to come and live with us?
Yeah.
He's not an orphan, George.
He's gonna go where I tell him.
What he did next made him a hero.
Doesn't anybody care what I want?
Based on the true story of the boy who divorced his parents, Gregory Kay. Monday.
Tonight on the News 8 Update at 10.
And that's when he came around there and he was going just a little too fast, and he knocked 2 cop cars off the track.
A violent scene following a police chase on an Irving freeway today. 1 man is dead, 2 injured, and a paroled convict is back in custody.
Plus,
You are guinea pigs.
Where do we go? We don't have nobody.
Living in fear of toxic waste in East Texas, an EPA action raises new concerns.
tonight on the News 8 Update at 10.
I travel the world for things like this chair that make you say, wow, I want that. Wow. This is why I use Diners Club on Business, to get me to places like this free. With Diners Club, I earn miles every time I use it, and I can put them on practically any frequent flyer program I choose. One trip, it could be American, United, or Delta. Next time, whatever I want. It's good to fly free.
Diners Club, the right answer for business.
Winning. It's as easy as tic-tac-toe. Lucky sevens from the Texas Lottery.
News 8 follows up a 2020 story about Siamese twins with a look at 2 Texas sisters. They were once joined at the chest. Their miraculous recovery on News 8 at 10.
Well, Hugh and I have been talking about this. What's the last thing you do before you go out for the night or before you go to bed? Do you give yourself peace of mind by turning on an alarm system? And thousands of people do. Home security systems are in these days, and most of us are more than willing to pay good money to protect our families and our property. But are you getting your money's worth? And once the system is installed, are you compromising it with careless mistakes? To answer those questions, Tom Jarrell spoke with the people who sell these security systems and with some customers who learned the hard way that setting that alarm isn't always enough. There are valuable lessons in their experiences.
Helen Maxwell helped us reset the burglary scene as she remembered it. A night alone. She put her confidence in a home security system, but it failed.
I was starting to write then, and I was up until around 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I thought I was safe on a second floor. I was told that he had climbed a tree. He stood on a ledge about this wide, hidden by shrubbery, and he stood on that ledge to get through a second-story window. He put a gun to my temple, and I was walked around my home with a gun to my temple. He took an emerald ring. He took my engagement ring. He took my wedding ring. There were a lot of things that changed in my life after that crime.
Helen Maxwell was so furious at being victimized, she spent 10 years becoming an expert on home security, even conferring with convicted burglars in prison to learn the tricks of their trade. Helen put her findings in a book, Home Safe Home. Her conclusions on home security systems.
And what's wrong with this, from my research, is that the golden rule of private security is to make a profit.
Burglars are the bane of our lives. This video, recorded with a miniature 2020 camera carried by a former burglar, whom you'll meet later in our report, illustrates his work, pillaging for valuables, ransacking drawers for jewelry. It's because of scenes like these with sharp increases in crime that home burglar alarms have become one of the fastest growing industries in America. This is what people fear and why they're buying these systems. The figures are staggering. More than 3 million homes were burglarized last year with losses of more than $3 billion. That's the driving force behind skyrocketing sales of home security systems. 2020 looked into this thriving industry and found it confusing to the consumer with widely ranging prices, inconsistency in services provided, and major problems with promises about what the systems could deliver. The Michael Glubke family of Phoenix, we found, was all too typical. They bought a security system built right into their new home, and like many families we talked to, immediately lost confidence in it.
We had probably maybe 3 false alarms where we ourselves set them off.
How was the response?
2 of them, we never got a response. As far as I'm concerned, I think that they're crooks. I think we were taken, and that every time I called to ask them a question, it was anywhere from $100 to $800, and they'd be more than happy to help us.
Michael Glupke invited 4 salesmen in to give him some advice on what they would recommend to make his home secure. He permitted 2020's hidden cameras to observe. The men arriving separately each represented a different company selling the same product, home security systems. Salesman number 1, Joe. Salesman number 2, Dan. Salesman number 3, Steve. And salesman number 4, Monty. Michael Glupke's first question, how good is his present alarm system? Salesman number 1.
It's just a cheap little system. I know. Why should I mix words with you? Yeah, I guess. It's what the builder put in. He got it for free, probably.
Salesman number 2.
Well, you've got a good working system. I mean, it looks like they did a real nice job wiring.
Wait a minute. They're giving opposite opinions. Michael Glupke's second concern, how much will a new basic system cost? Salesman number 3.
Right, and it's $99.
Number 2.
Okay, the total, including tax, would be $1,056.07.
Number 1.
The total system is $3,065.
What a span, from $99 to $3,000 to make this home secure. Hoping to get a better understanding of prices, we went to Westech, a highly regarded West Coast firm. Jack Smith is their representative. For home security services available today, how broad of a spectrum is there for the homeowner?
$99 to $4,000 or $5,000.
What can a homeowner get for $99?
Not much. Front door,
The fact is, you could spend even less than $99 and buy protection for your home, which could prove nearly as good a deterrent as the expensive systems. This is the low-cost end of home security systems called the Starter Pack. You can get these in the mail. They send these little plastic signs, which are designed to be planted conspicuously all around the front of the home. The Starter Pack also includes a number of decals to be placed on doorways or locations where burglars might be tempted to enter. There are lots of signs to be placed all around the home, but there's absolutely nothing to back these signs up. It's hoped that the burglars will see them and keep on going. The Starter Pack cost only about $19. Even salesman number 3 admitted they work.
Why don't you have a yard sign outside? Do you have one out there? A yard sign? That says your home's protected with the security system? No, I don't. That or window stickers. Do you have window stickers? No. A window, that's the greatest deterrent.
The big profits for the industry, though, are not in inexpensive plastic signs. They're in high-tech gadgets, which salesmen push. Here, Westech is installing a $6,000 home security system featuring motion sensors, which scan rear windows, and a space-age alert box.
Well, Tom, that allows the homeowner to activate various levels of protection.
The keyboard on the Westech system allows a customer to pick and choose different types of protection, including police, fire, medics, and other emergency systems. Wouldn't 911 give you the same thing?
Yes, it would. It would.
So what would be the point of this? Is it extra?
You might say it'd be a backup to 911.
And when an emergency box calls for help, who's answering? It's not always who you think. Michael Glupke wanted to know and got these responses. Salesman number 1.
This is local monitoring, so you're local right here then, I guess.
Yes, oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, Michael.
That's great.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have it any other way.
Number 3.
It's in Kansas. It's in Kansas.
Kansas? Hold on, we're in Phoenix. Well, we discovered in this rapidly expanding industry, most alarms are not answered locally. Nationally, there are 14,000 home security companies using support services provided by only a few major dispatching centers. So alarms from Phoenix might be routed to a central dispatching service in Louisiana, split off to another center in Wichita, Kansas, and they in turn call the Phoenix Police. Although the system normally works, this roundabout arrangement is seldom mentioned by salesmen unless prompted. They concentrate on adding expensive extras.
One thing that we do is we put in talking sirens. This is passive infrared motion detector.
Salesman number 1 proposed bugging the house.
I would mount microphones in strategic areas of the house.
And it's often what they don't tell you that matters. Salesman number 4 was proud to say he represented Emergency Network.
We, Emergency Networks and Westinghouse Corporation, have merged their security operations, which makes us, we think, now the world's largest.
But according to court documents, Emergency Network is in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. There has been no merger between the company and Westinghouse, and they're not the world's largest security company. We asked salesman number 4 about that.
I'm not an appropriate spokesman for the company, so at this point I think I'm going to have to excuse myself and apologize. I'm just not the person that you need to be talking to. Can we ask?
So after the hard sell, what have you bought? How well do home burglar alarms stand up to an actual test? 2020 retained former professional burglar Terry Albro, and with the help of the Torrance, California Burglary Unit, arranged to break into a home. Lieutenant Mike Tamble obtained permission from the owners of the home. They left their alarm system on, just as they normally would, and waited down the street. No policemen or alarm companies were alerted. It's time for Terry Albro to show how it's done.
When you case this house, what do you remember and what are you looking for when you go in?
Basically, who's going to be around? Who's going to be the potential witness? Which, of course, I don't want to have any. I don't want anybody to see me go in.
After casing the neighborhood, Albro, wearing a hidden camera, heads for his target. In addition to the alarm, signs warn the home is protected by sentry dogs. Albro poses as a meter reader as he plots his route of entry. He picks a side window, knowing the alarm system can be easily bypassed here. He squirms inside. Once inside, he moves with the precision of an athlete, searching every room in the two-story house for valuables. As he starts to leave, the deadbolt on the front door actually jams. So he leaves through the back door and deliberately sets off the alarm of the home security system. It doesn't matter now. It was a clean heist. Albro will be long gone before the authorities can respond. Total time of the burglary, 1 minute, 38 seconds. Albro returned the belongings to the owners and explained mistakes they had made. 1, they left a window open with the alarm turned off to the window. 2, had he not seen the open window, he could have easily deactivated the alarm system by cutting the phone line. 3, he was not even worried about setting off the alarm because he knew he could be in and out of the home faster than authorities could respond. And even he didn't know the alarm company never responded when he did set off the system.
We've talked to professional burglars, men who have done this for years for a living, and quite frankly, they think even the best systems are a joke.
I think you've got an ego factor of a professional burglar telling you that. The folks that live here, when they leave here in the morning, walk away with total peace of mind.
If homeowners can't buy enough peace of mind with expensive burglar alarm systems these days, the crowning touch to home security is what's called armed response. Private cops with guns responding to home alarms in squad cars. Westech offers, for an additional $10 or $20 a month, this kind of private police force, but their appearance is misleading. They look like a police squad car, for example, but by city law, they can't run with their flashing emergency lights turned on. They pack a gun, but have no police authority to use it. And they can only make what's called a citizen's arrest. We wanted to test how quickly the hired gun would respond. Mr. and Mrs. Terry Consalvo deliberately tripped their alarm to see what they were paying extra for to get star-armed response.
Area A, burglary, entry, door.
We just received a call from Westech. They have an armed and marked security responding, ETA of 15.
Westech security alarm did alert city police. Lieutenant Tamble intercepted and stopped the police unit so they would not run an emergency. But the highly touted armed response unit that was supposed to arrive within 45 minutes, he showed up about an hour and 15 minutes after the alarm went off.
My dispatcher gave me a bad map grid. They gave me one that was like over the side of Hawthorne Boulevard, and I had to backtrack my way here.
So what does work? Well, we asked Terry Albro to break into a home which didn't have an alarm system or warning signs. At our request, the owners just locked the doors and left. This should be easy pickings for Albro. He chooses a window away from the street, breaks the glass, and enters. Unknowingly, the old pro burglar has met his match. Hannah Sampson, next door, was keeping watch on the house after seeing her neighbors leave. She spotted someone inside and phoned police.
Police officer Explosa.
This is 911. There's somebody breaking into a house next door.
Where?
On Common Street.
Somebody's breaking into it?
Yeah.
Albro was snared by one of the oldest, cheapest systems around, the Neighborhood Crime Watch. A beaming Hannah let us know she was the block chairperson.
But if I had called as soon as I saw you trying to get in, and it wasn't a put-up dog, they would have sent someone out right away.
Right away.
They would have caught you in the act.
True. Yeah.
Good, neighbors. Listen, I'm troubled by something. Aren't we telling burglars out there how to do this and rob houses?
Barbara, we are not. The things we've described in this report are the oldest tricks in the trade. Burglars all know them.
The regular burglars. And
Right.
the amateur burglar?
Amateur burglars, they're going to learn them very quickly from those who are engaged in this type of activity. A lot faster than they will from what we put on.
Now, if somebody's going to buy an alarm system, what questions should they ask to be sure that they're getting something worthwhile? Because there are good alarm systems.
You want a reputable company that trains its employees, that you might check with the Better Business Bureau, and in Washington there's an agency called the National Burglar Fire Alarm Association. They'll give names of good companies.
What are burglars most afraid of?
Noise and houses that are occupied. They don't want to go into a home if someone's there. They also want to avoid homes where there might be noise, like a barking dog, for example.
But, I mean, a little dog that goes yap, yap, yap will scare them as much as a big German Shepherd, as long as it just makes
They're
you
not
noise?
worried about getting bitten. They're worried about being spotted.
What about those lights that go off and on so that people think people are home?
Anything that attracts attention. In fact, any effort to make your home safer is a good idea. It can be a deterrent. What's important is to not think your home is 100% safe, because burglars can get by some
Even those signs can be...
The signs are a good idea.
Great. Thank you, Tom. We'll be right back.
And unto Muffy and Lucky was born Blackie, and from Blackie issued forth Jerry and Teddy and Perry, whereafter Perry begat Sugar and Spice. Then came Whitey the meek and Samantha the brave. The world was then graced by Bruce the good, Flip, and Georgette the
Purina Cat Chow brand cat food for cat chow care, generation after generation.
And Snookums.
When I think of everything I put in my hair to make it shiny, more manageable, and all it took was a touch of VO5. Yeah, VO5.
Alberto VO5 hairdressing. A touch does so much.
You touch it. Your body rubs against it. It's mildew. But you can kill it with Tilex. Tilex kills mildew and destroys the stain. Tilex. Don't let mildew ruin your shower.
Get ready for the biggest catch of the day. Chunky, the big soup, brings you New England clam chowder. Stupendously succulent clams, prodigious pieces of potato, blended together in a tremendously rich, creamy broth. Though the chunks are big enough for a fork, use a big spoon to get every deliciously satisfying bite. Chunky New England clam chowder. Soup so big, it eats like a meal.
Some unknown long-distance companies are promising you fax connections as fast as AT&T's. But a promise isn't a guarantee. And AT&T's advanced network guarantees your faxes won't get blocked, so they'll connect on the first try. Or we'll credit you if you're not satisfied with any fax that doesn't. It's your choice. Faxes that'll save you time, guaranteed. Or some other company that could be sending you the wrong signal.
The AT&T Best in the Business Guarantee. Call for details.
You've seen him dance. You've heard him sing. Now, hear him talk live. That's dangerous.
The King of Pop talks to Oprah live Wednesday.
Monday, join Lieutenant Bennell in Russia, where civil rights come second. And the cops write their own rules.
It's absolutely amazing.
A special one-hour American Detective, Monday.
An update for you now. Do you remember that 2 weeks ago, we told you the story of a man known as the Love Bandit? He'd earned that name by romancing lonely women across the Southwest, not just to win their hearts, but to get his hands on their money, and then he would disappear. The love bandit was eventually caught. He pled guilty, was sentenced to 10 years in a Texas prison. But all through the process, he stayed true to character, refusing to reveal his real identity. And authorities dubbed him Mr. X.
Somebody has got to be able to recognize and tell us who Mr. X is. He did not fall onto the face of the earth 7 years ago.
Well, now we do know who he is.
I'll say his cover is blown. His name is Marion Dakota, and it's curious how it came to be known. The father of a woman he'd been married to called her on the phone because he was watching our program, and she tuned in time to see it, and she said, yeah, that's who he is. I know, and within 45 minutes, she had contacted the prosecutor, and that's the story.
She had been married to him. He had left her. She said that he had abused her while they were married, and she sent us a fax in which she said that she'd like to express to all of the victims her extreme sympathy. But then she said, I'd encourage them to get on with their lives, stop blaming themselves, take comfort in the knowledge that he'll get his just desserts here, or, as she says, elsewhere.
We'll be right back.
Man, when I get a cold, it's a killer cold. I'm not taking a 4-hour pill like Actifed. For Sudafed, it wears off too quick. I take Contact. Man, I'm out there all day. Need something that works 12 hours, and Contact works 12 hours. It relieves the congestion in your head. You know, your ruddy nose. The 4-hour medication, take it in the morning. Get to work, it's gone. Take a Contact and it'll take you through the whole day.
One Contact gives you 12 hours of time-released relief.
No work, no pay.
Contact helps turn sick days into work days.
Thanks to Smart Rate from the Discover card, interest charges now have a whole new bottom line. Smart Rate, as low as 14.9%. It pays to Discover.
We take a red ripe tomato, fluffiest mashed potato this side of Idaho, and roast and stick it like you never ever seen. Stouffer's makes a real mean lean cuisine.
In the news tonight, a career criminal fleeing police crashes his stolen car head-on into another motorist, killing him. The Super Collider could be fair game to White House budget cutters. And the EPA shuts down a controversial East Texas hazardous waste well. Those stories and more coming next on The Update.
He's one of the hottest young names in boxing. Now see Olympic gold medalist Oscar De La Hoya in action live. Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sport.
Saturday on the Commish, Tony faces the most important case of his career.
We got a kidnapping, a baby, 6 months old. This is a holding pen for babies on the black market.
The Commish, Saturday.
Only 5 days until the King of Pop talks to Oprah live.
Tonight on Nightline, Ted Koppel is off and Chris Wallace is sitting in. Chris?
Barbara, it's become an American obsession, trying to lower cholesterol. But does giving up the goodies mean you'll live longer? Tonight on Nightline, we look at some surprising new evidence that challenges what we've all taken to heart. Hugh?
That's Nightline after your local news. And that's 2020 for tonight. Thank you for being with us.
And remember, we're in touch, so you'll be in touch. I'm Barbara Walters.
And I'm Hugh Downs.
And to everyone here at 2020, have a good weekend. Good night.
I'm David Brinkley. On Sundays this week, we'll ask Vice President Gore about the new administration and what to expect, and we'll ask Israeli Prime Minister Rabin about the Middle East. Sunday.
For a transcript of 2020, please send $5 to Journal Graphics, 1535 Grand Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203, or call 303-831-9000.
Give me the steak.
Hey, you really gonna eat that? Give me a break. Come to Grandy's and say, give me the steak.
The steak.
If you got time for a burger and fries, you got time for our country steak dinner. Now only $2.89.
The steak.
That's our famous country steak, 2 home-style veggies, and 2 fresh baked rolls. Now only $2.89. For here or to go. Hey, the burger's gotta go. Come to Grandy's and say, give me the steak. Fast food that doesn't taste fast.
The steak.